Okay, so if you mean to say city as opposed to a town or probably a countryside, then I think a lot of people they prefer a crowded city because there are many things to do. Probably they can go for a movie, they can shop a lot. So a lot of people, like personally, I know my husband prefers a city over places which are full of nature, and I'm the opposite. And the reason for that is that, for example, he loves London, so he can go and watch as many shows he likes. He can watch a movie and then he can move around and shop a lot. So I think that's why probably people prefer cities. Yeah.
Is it more expensive to go on holiday in a city?
I think yes, because everything is commercialized. Even, for example, in London, there is a three-wheeler. It's called a tuk-tuk or a rickshaw in India. Similar to that, there's a three-wheeler, fancy three-wheeler in London city centre. And I think you have to pay like £100 just to like go from one place to the other with the music. So everything is commercialized to a level so much so that you really end up burning your pocket because every small thing you have to pay for it. Even for example, water. So yeah, I think being in a city will cost you a lot.
Is it better to visit a city alone or with other people?
I think it depends. It's both. A lot of people, they like to travel solo, and a lot of people, they need to have people around them. For example, if you're going to watch a show, maybe if you are with somebody and you're watching a show, you'll enjoy it more because you have a company with you. For some people, they would prefer to be alone and watch it because they can probably consume or intake and really soak in the experience. So it depends. It's very subjective, I guess.
Now let's talk about the growth of cities. Why are the biggest cities in the world getting bigger?
I think, like I mentioned, everything is commercialized and you got to pay the prices, like even the bigger showrooms and stores. If you buy a certain item from like a smaller city, not the bigger ones I'm talking about, you'll end up paying lesser than what you'll pay probably in London or New York. So that way is one of the reason is that, I guess. And also I think moving around, like most of the people from smaller cities, they want to go into and start living in bigger cities. So that's also one of the reasons that the cost of living starts to rise. Yeah.
What are the downsides of living in a mega city?
Downside of living in a mega city would be the cost of living. Because the more the people, the higher the prices, because you'll have to pay more rent because there's so much of demand for these places and supply is lesser. So that's one thing, cost of living. The second is maybe you're a little bit out of touch from nature because it's like you're staying in a concrete jungle, you're surrounded by buildings. And also, the more number of people, the lesser social interaction. So maybe you might just end up being a little lonely. So I think some of the few downsides are like that.
How will large cities in the future be different to how they are today?
So as we can see that we're advancing more and more day by day, and things are just improving in a grand scale. So I think we'll become more advanced in future. And like I mentioned, we lose touch with I'm not sure. I mean, if I have to take a guess, we'll lose touch with humanity. Everything is going to become very robotic and very computer and machine based. I think that's what I see around, but I don't have a clear answer for that.
Now let's talk about children in cities. Is it better to grow up in a city or the countryside?
Again, I think I'm biased towards it, because I feel I'm more inclined towards a countryside or living in a setup like that. So I feel that it'll be better to bring up or raise your child in a countryside setup. Because you are not bringing in chaos to them. I feel that the city life has a lot of chaos with it. And B, like, for example, I've always advocated that, kids should be taught meditation. I think there's no bigger meditation than being around nature, walking on grass. So you can teach them better things which people start advocating later in life. So you can teach all of that with homeschooling. So I think that's a very good option to really venture into or take into consideration.
What advantages do children brought up in the countryside have over children brought up in a city?
Advantages, like I mentioned, would be that maybe they're calmer than the city children. I think the city children will be more technologically advanced, but might not have the same emotional bandwidth, maybe, and might not have the mental capacity to really take in stress, because they'll always be consumed with stress around them. So I think the city, sorry, I'm missing now the two kind of children. I think the countryside children will be better at having that same mental capacity, or a better mental capacity and emotional bandwidth to handle stress.
So you're hoping to get a band 9, and I have some good news and some not so good news, but let's see if you're going to get a band 9 and what you could do to improve to a band 9.